What is going on, members of the Burger Empire? Brian here for Body by Burgers, and today's video is going to be talking about how the 2019 CrossFit game season panned out, what my thoughts were about the games, the cuts, the workouts, all of that fun stuff. I'm gonna start way back, way back to sanctional events and what my thoughts were on that and how to qualify. All these opinions, by the way, are coming after a couple days of letting the emotions go, of seeing my favorite athletes not make the top 10 or the podium or the top 3. Mostly, heart hurts for Patrick Vellner and Sarah Sigmundsdottir. They're my faves. After debriefing, after watching some videos of what the athletes had to say with the changes and how the game season has panned out, these are kind of my thoughts. The biggest one where I'm coming from with Matt Frazier, saying that he wanted to qualify all 3 ways to the games because we didn't know how it was going to pan out, and once you got to the games, it literally didn't matter. They just kind of threw you where you needed to be thrown or where they wanted to throw you. It was interesting that way, but overall, to be able to qualify for the CrossFit Games out of sanctionals, I think is a fantastic idea. It helps spread the sport worldwide and even gives people a chance to experience the sport that, as fans of the sport, spectators or athletes, a lot of time and exposure to what the sport is if you can't afford or are unable to go to Madison to watch the games. I really enjoy that fact. It gives us a chance to see a little bit more of the athletes, personality-wise, workout-wise, all that fun stuff throughout the year, and not just in those 4 or 5 days at the games where they're 100% serious and focused, or even at regionals where it's just a weekend and again they're in that same mindset and they're not themselves. So I do enjoy seeing the sanctional events and the fact that we get to track them throughout the year. There's a few coming in Canada this year. Maybe I can actually get to a couple so I can be one of them spectators or one of the media guys, so that maybe I can help show you guys the lighter sides of athletes or get a couple interviews. That would be fantastic. I would really enjoy that, both as a fan, a spectator, and a media outlet kind of deal. So that would be a lot of fun. So I think the sanctionals, we're up to 32 of them this year. That's a lot. That's like 3 a month. I don't know how I'm going to try and keep up covering them, but I'm going to do my best because I know there's going to be a lot of overlap on that, and hopefully I get to experience a couple of them myself as a fan. The Open, it happened at the typical time, so we got to see a lot of national champions because that was new this year, increasing the games to about 150 athletes. I think it's a cool spectacle. I think it's a neat idea. It's kind of Greg Glassman's thought process. It's making it more like the Olympics, more inclusive. The idea is there, but it needs some work, as everything does when it comes to changes. This is the first year that we've seen the changes and things that clearly need to be worked on. I just think that the cut system, or even the fact that there's national champions coming out of the Open, is pretty cool. But with that being said, I could literally move to a country, open my own affiliate, make myself the only member, do scaled open, and still qualify for the games. Again, I think some refining that needs to happen. Am I going to do that? Obviously not. But there's definitely things that need to be refined out of that whole process that we need to kind of consider. But it was cool seeing so many athletes at the game and seeing the sport represented so well amongst so many people. It did make the sport more of a spectacle when it comes right down to it. And the big final thing that we need to talk about is the CrossFit Games itself. The structure of the games had been basically topped upside down, thrown in, and it was basically like you're making a tossed salad, and whatever happens, it came out. I've watched a lot of athlete interviews. I've kind of pushed my opinion to the side, or my initial opinion to the side anyway, and now I've formulated kind of my own opinion. And this is after watching interviews from the top athletes and a lot of the podium favorites that did not make the cut. If we're going to continue to have the system where there's national champions and we're going to continue to have 140, 150 athletes at the games participating at once, cuts need to happen. It's going to be a fact of life. And I agree with that part of it. Now, there's a couple things I don't agree with, even after formulating with the athletes and seeing what they have to say. First off, I don't think the cuts needed to be as aggressive as they were. Do I agree with cutting down to 40 athletes after the first day? 100% yes. Do I agree cutting to 20 athletes after Friday? I'm about 60% agreement on that. I think maybe you could have gone into Saturday still with 30 athletes. 20 is probably the best number that you could have gone into Saturday with, and they did get to that, but I think maybe you could have had a more aggressive cut. So I would have said from 150 to 75, from 75 to 50 like they did, but then from 50 probably down to 30, I would say, but have an extra event in between there instead of cutting from 50, 40, 30. I mean, it's growing pains. They're all growing pains. But I would have at least liked to see the top 20 compete for all of Saturday. And then as Saturday's last final event finished, you let them know, hey, this is the cut event for Sunday. The top 10 out of the final day on Saturday will be your top 10 going into Sunday. I've seen a lot of people say maybe the first workout on Sunday you could have cut down to top 10. I think that you would have just been better off once you're down to that top 20. Run them for a full day on that top 20, then run the top 10 for the full day again, instead of having top 20 for one workout that was determined but a cut by a 30-second workout or less. Even 24 seconds was the fastest sprint event. So that's just, again, growing pains, and I think Dave Castro, Greg Glassman, they have a lot to think about. When it comes to the programming of the workouts, overall the programming was very good. I was fairly angry and frustrated on the first couple days, especially when they started making those cuts and the more aggressive cuts from that 50 to the 10, because I was like, there's not a lot of variation. It's a lot of running. There's not a ton of things that have a ton of variations, right? It was running and sprinting, and then there was only like one traditional workout, or more of a CrossFit style workout with 800 meter row, the kettlebell push press, and the handstand walk. I just think the order of the events could have been changed up, and then if you're going to continue to have these aggressive cuts to top 10, I just think that the order of the events should have been changed up so that we had more traditional CrossFit instead of just at the end of Saturday and into Sunday. It is what it is. What's done is done, and we have to move on. But Pat Vellner, I think, said it the best in an interview with Rory McKernan. Go check it out. Rory McKernan has a YouTube channel now. But he interviewed Pat Vellner, and Pat Vellner said, if you did CrossFit main site workouts all year, you would have been top 10 because Greg Glassman programmed these games. And I kind of had that hunch, and you can ask the friends that hung out with me or talked to me throughout the weekend that are also CrossFit fans. I said straight up, if Dave Castro is still programming these workouts, his hand is being heavily pushed. And that was my thought process on that. I just didn't think that these were traditionally things that you've seen come out of the mind of Dave Castro. I think Dave Castro had more creative freedom over the team events because the team events very much felt like old school CrossFit work, like CrossFit Games workouts. And not old school CrossFit, but CrossFit Games workouts, things that we were traditionally seeing at the games. The team event ended up being one of the more exciting things to watch because there were more things that we were used to seeing at the games. But I think the changes that we are seeing are things that are not going to be going anywhere going forward. And honestly, there is a very fast turnaround time because the Open starts on October 10th in about 60 days from now. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to try and cover that as much as possible. I'm also going to try and do my best to compete in the Open, maybe. but we'll save that for another video because I have even more things to announce with that being said. So thank you for tuning in today, guys. That is my thoughts on the CrossFit Games season of 2019, because now we have 2020 to look forward to. So thank you again for clicking on the video. If you like the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Put a comment section put a comment down below if there's a sanctional event that you're going to attend this year. If I'm going to attend any, I'll let you guys know. It'd be cool to meet you all, so that would be fun as always. And don't forget to subscribe. It's the only way to become a member of the Burger Empire. And until next time, everybody, Burger Power.